My AirPod Pros. All right, guys, welcome to another edition of Texans Unfiltered, a Houston football podcast for your Houston Texans. I am young Ari Gold, and I'm joined by my friend and co-host John Wade, the Garnet Texan. And John, pretty good way to end the season. Not the most ideal way to end the season. You know, you'd prefer to have a W for sure, but to be able to put up a fight towards the end and kind of, I don't know, ended in somewhat of a positive manner given the way that the season has gone. Seeing more from Davis Mills before the season ends. We were at the game. That was cool. Got to hang out with some people and do some things. Got to meet Figgy, and you got to meet Figgy in person.
Yeah.
I got
Even though I'm the most awkward individual out there.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah,
it's not just an act. I'm like that in real life too.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's very true. But you know, a really good, I don't know, good day in general. And yeah, I mean, I don't know. Do we even spend any time talking about the game?
I mean, maybe a little bit. I mean, the first half was miserable. Second half was a lot of fun. You know, all it took was us moving seats, I guess. I don't know. No, I mean, it goes back to show part of the reason that the Texans struggle with that offensive system is they pulled so much from air raid, so many concepts, like so many route concepts, and then they try to slow it down. Like the thing that I've been thinking long and hard about this, like the reason the Patriots had so much success with the Bill O'Brien offense that Tim Kelly continues to win or run is what they would try and do is they would go slow until they got the other team into a personnel grouping that they felt like they could take advantage of. And then they would speed it up and go fast and just hammer because they had those guys that could do different things. Now, the Texans have never really had the personnel to run that. And they seem to commit to either going entirely fast or entirely slow. Like they'd never really change it up. But both Davis Mills and Deshaun both absolutely thrived when they would go fast because the offense in general is just made to go fast. They just forget sometimes for whatever reason, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. You know, I think it was nice to see some adjustments in the second half. It's kind of the opposite of what we've seen in the rest of the season. And, you know, not necessarily a hot start, but a, you know, somewhat okay start, average start, putting up some points, and then second half just come out flat as can be and not do anything. So it was nice to see there were some adjustments made. Up tempo was the biggest piece, obviously, but it was good to see that. But and Davis looked great. Davis looked great in the second half. Made some really good throws. I mean, there were a couple throws that he made, and it was just like,
dude, he's shown quite a bit.
Yeah,
like he really has. Like, I mean, it's fair to still say that he may not be the guy, but he's shown nothing that says that he couldn't possibly develop into that. Which, I mean, dude, Twitter is awful. That's just what I've come to the conclusion of. Twitter is just straight up awful. We've talked about it a little bit for the past couple of weeks. You're either all in on Mills or you're all out on Mills. Like there really doesn't seem to be anybody taking the middle ground. And people are very, very passionate one way or the other. And I mean, the people that are so passionate that he is the next great thing, like y'all can chill too. But the people that are just straight up hating on him, like that at that point, it just doesn't make any sense. Like I can get where you're like, oh, he's not a long-term, he may not be a long-term starter. Yeah, fine, sure. That's still realm of possibility. He may just end up being a phenomenal backup, but dude's going to be in the NFL for 15 years. Like he's shown enough playing what he has already that a lot of these guys that have been in the league forever, like Chase Daniels, have never shown this. And he went to Stanford, so he's obviously smart. So Davis Mills is going to be around forever. He's going to be very worse. He's going to be a backup forever. But there's people out there that are still dead set on saying that he's awful, that he's boring, the team can never win with him. And to me, it makes me scratch my head. I just absolutely don't get that negative of a take.
So I figured out today who, like, there's a specific crowd associated with that. And it's the Steph Stradley crowd. It's the Jack Easterby crowd. It's the woe is me, Debbie Downer, Texans are the worst ran franchise. Nothing good can come out of anything that happens on Kirby. Those are the people that just hate Davis. Like, props to Rivers, who, I've said it openly a million times, and I'm talking about Rivers McCown. He's probably hands down my favorite writer for the Texans. And over the last 2 years, or a year and a half, or 2 seasons, whatever it is, it's been really hard to enjoy my favorite writer because there has been zero positivity in any of it, right? It's a weekly column of just shitting on the Texans, which I totally understand too. He always highlights like a player here or there, or Grenard or whatever it may be, but there's zero optimism. And I feel that everybody that just hates Davis Mills is in that exact group. It's scorned and burned by, Cal and Jack and Bill O'Brien. Dude, I get it. Like, we all saw it. We all saw what happened. We all lived through it. But, like, bro, Bill O'Brien is not fucking here anymore. Like, he's not here. Dude, how long are you going to hold on to that? Like, it's embarrassing. It honestly is. It's just embarrassing. Like, I get it. We have a new owner. Like, he didn't even hire Bill O'Brien, and you're not even giving him an opportunity. Does he seem like a doofus? Duh. Sure. Absolutely. What am I supposed to say? I can't sit here and lie. No, he seems like a total fucking doof. But he seems to be hiring people and letting them do their jobs, just like his daddy did. Doesn't seem to push himself into the conversations or things of that nature, right? I do think that there are some things he probably does chime in on. I think Deshaun Watson is one of those situations, and I think the main reason is the fact that, Janice and Robert did a real good job about, just anything that had to do with abuse and sexual misconduct, things of that nature. That's always been just a thing for Janice and Bob McNair. So Cal's going to take that, and that's another story compared to kind of what's going on at NRG. Yeah, Jack's still here, but Jack has a new title. Like, he has a completely new title. Doesn't excuse what he did, but dude, like, he's here. He's going to be here. He's not going anywhere. And so I just, like, Nick's running the show. If you can't tell, if you can't see it by now, and whether you like Nick Caserio or not, that's fine. That's fine. You don't have to. But dude, then if you're not going to like Nick, and you're not going to like this, and you're not like, what will you like? What will you like? Like, nobody knows the next head coach should be, right? And like, it's funny. This is like the funniest time of Twitter. Hey, this head coach should be the next head coach. This guy has shown a lot of this. So this guy, nobody fucking knows if it's a right hire. It's no different than hiring a manager at a restaurant, a waiter, a sales guy, a finance guy, an accountant. You can get the hire wrong, no matter what their resume says. Like, you could just get them wrong. That's just the way it works. Hiring is not exact.
Yeah, let's look when we hired Bill O'Brien. Like, everybody said that was an A+ hire.
Right.
And he got us to the playoffs and so forth with a mess of quarterbacks. But how it ended. But he was just absolutely lauded, best hire out there. Matt Patricia, when he went to Detroit, that was lauded as the best hire that year. That was the slam dunk, the easy one. Those are just the two that I can think of off the top of my head because I was looking at the Patriots tree. But yeah, you're right. You don't know. No one knows.
Nobody does. Nobody knows the quarterbacks. Nobody knows the wide receiver. Like, look, I hate to break it to every single person here. You can go scout and evaluate, and you can go see the talent and the physical athletes and all that, right? But you don't know if they're motivated by football, if they love the game. Like there's just so many like things that you can't measure. You just can't, and you're gonna miss on a lot of them. And it's the same as hiring. Like if there was a science behind hiring, every company would have that science, because companies, that's the number one. That's the number one. What are we looking at? What's going on? Oh, okay. Hiring is and training is like the most like expensive thing to do at a company. That's where companies lose all their money, because that's just part of it, right? It's hiring, training, you're devoting time, things of this nature, turnover, all of that. So I don't know, dude. I find it funny. Like, and you can go pull whatever data you want. Go build something in IBM Cloud, Google Cloud, AWS, whatever you want to go pull the data from. Your data is not going to tell you if Davis Mills is a great quarterback, is a below average quarterback. The guy, you can't, because it's not taking in things like bad play calling, bad offensive line, no run game, lack of weapons, bad coaching decision. Like none of that is taken in by the data. So like whenever it comes to like DVOA and shit like that, I really just don't care. I get it. There's a baseline of it, right? And I think you can make adjustments manually to have a better understanding, but the data does not support everything.
Well, I mean, you can find a number to support any narrative you want. You can find a number to say that you can find a number that says he was great. I mean, he did something that Deshaun didn't do his rookie year with the what was it, the QB rating. He's one of 4 quarterbacks ever to have 3 games with a QB rating over 120. And I went back and looked at Deshaun's rookie year.
Yeah.
He had 1. He was prolific. Don't get me wrong. He was absolutely prolific. But it's just numbers can be spun any way you want it. And there's different measurements. And I mean, it doesn't matter. What I do find interesting, and again, this isn't to say that Davis Mills is Deshaun like that. No. That is not the comparison I would make. Deshaun is over and done with. We have to stop with that comparison. We have to. Like, we just have to move on. Davis is an entirely different beast, entirely different quarterback. Probably doesn't have that ceiling. He definitely doesn't have that wow factor. He definitely doesn't have that excitement about him. But that doesn't mean he can't be a very good quarterback. Also doesn't mean he can be a bad quarterback. Like, all those things still happen. But I would like to point out, if you go look at the national narrative around Davis Mills, overall, the national narrative is very, very high on him. Very high on him. The people that are completely detached, the people that have no emotional investment in the Texans, seem to like him a lot more. I read one guy that said that the Davis Mills was one of the top 2 rookie quarterbacks this year, and he was not sure he was number 2, if you look at his situation. Several of the New England writers said, hey, if we drop Davis Mills in here, he may have had the same season Mac Jones did or better. These are the people that are actually in New England. They're not entirely sold on Mac Jones. Just for reference. Trevor Lawrence, I mean, if you compare him side by side, like, situations were very, very similar. I would almost say coaching staff is maybe not quite similar, but I mean, Urban Meyer was a hot mess, but you can make excuses for Trevor Lawrence for why he played bad and why he played below expectations, but those same excuses could be applied to Davis Mills, and he played above expectations. So,
yeah,
again, it's just one of those taking a step back maybe and just look at him, and it's like, well, you know what? He at very least has earned every single right to compete and be the favorite for the starting job next year. Whether or not he wins it, I still think he has to earn it. But he should be in that mix, and the team should be looking to see what they can do to make his life easier.
Couple things there. And I'll get off my rant, but the people that like are just like, hey, he sucks or the Texans suck and all, you know why they do that? It's because it's easier for them to do that. When you do that, and if you're wrong, you always have an out, right? it's always, oh, I want what's best for the team, and I was wrong, whatever it may be. Like, you always have an out when you just bash and bash and bash. But if you come out and you're like, hey, this guy looks good, this guy could be a guy, people will bury you if you're wrong. That's just the way it works. But yeah, and then to get to Davis has earned the opportunity to start and compete. I think that is backwards logic in the sense that, like, okay, well, is Trevor Lawrence going to need to compete next year? Is Justin Fields going to need to compete next year? Is Mac Jones going to need to compete next year? Like, no, they're not. And you're taking away extremely valuable snaps if you're going to have him compete in the offseason when you'd like to build off of the momentum that he has and just let him see. Like, at the end of the day, if he competes or doesn't compete, like, next season isn't going to – I mean, it's going to be very similar to this season. I mean, there's a good chance. There's a good chance we're better for sure. We should be better, but we're not going to make the playoffs. Maybe we do, and it would be a quick exit. But, like, you're not hurting the team by letting Davis get all of the reps in OTAs and training camp. It makes no sense to split those. I get it. I understand, like, yeah, you want him to compete, and that's the part of it. But I don't want him
necessarily that you compete. I believe nothing in the NFL is a sure thing, so you increase your odds of getting it right. So when I say that, until you're sure you have your guy at any position, I believe you should continuously look for other players. Now, the best thing about the Davis Mills situation is I believe you don't have to overpay for a veteran quarterback. You don't have to waste any draft capital and try and move up to get somebody else. But if there's somebody else out there that you like, that you're like, okay, you bring them in and you give them a chance. I think that Davis Mills should have the upper hand. He should, because he knows the system. But I would even say that if you're Trevor Lawrence or if you're Justin Fields or whatnot, even if you are a first-round pick, you shouldn't be walking in saying that you're the starter right away until you've actually shown it. Now, in my opinion, and this is where you may snap back at me, Davis Mills has shown more than they have, so he should be able to walk in. But I just say until you're entirely sure that you have that player in that position covered, you continue to bring guys in. Because you never know. You just absolutely never know.
Yeah, I guess, like, even if you draft a quarterback, right, in the third or fourth round, like, if we're going to go with the logic of you never know, why would you go against that same type of quarterback that you don't know but showed progression and development? I guess that's, like, ultimately, like, you're not going to bring in a veteran.
You got Davis Mills you got Davis Mills in the third. What if you bring in another third rounder and he comes in and he's performing just as well as Mills?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, but then you're hurting his development at that point because
he might be better.
Snaps. He might be, but at that time you can't find out. Like, wouldn't you rather go and see 6 to 8 weeks of Davis, known as the starter, team knows, chemistry, reps, route running, like everything that it goes to building consistency within an offense? Like, neither one of those quarterbacks is going to succeed. Like, that's just the way it works. You got to build consistency within the team to be able to have success.
Not necessarily. If somebody is definitely better, you can tell.
Well, that's obviously not true, because look where Davis Mills was drafted compared to the other quarterbacks.
Well, once he got in and started playing in an NFL environment.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, there's so many different aspects to it. Like, there's just is no guarantee in general, right?
Exactly.
If we go based off of evaluation prior to,
you don't know. Like, I mean, that's like looking at Russell Wilson and Dak Prescott. Until they got the chance to prove it, you didn't know. But once they were actually out there, they were definitively better. Now,
what we do know is that he's gotten better.
He has gotten better, but would you say that he's definitively better
than where he was?
Not than other quarterbacks.
No.
Other quarterbacks that are available.
I'm saying
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I'm saying the fact that you've seen him develop, you've seen him get better, you've seen him put the time in, you see that he's approaching the offseason in the exact manner that you would want him to. You even saw a little bit of that fieriness that you were looking for that you mentioned last week. Why I don't understand why you would risk hurting a player's development and not giving him the opportunity to, like, okay, so think about it. We're going to have likely 2 new guards, a new center, We're going to have new wide receivers. Like, we're going to have new running backs. Like, you're taking away valuable snaps from a guy who may not be, to give another guy who may not and may be and may not be. When you know that you have a better chance of getting more out of what you've seen than you do if you let the two compete. Like, you have a better chance because we've seen it. So we know that he's gotten better. We know he's developed. We know he's progressed. Why would you not want to put everything in it to see if he can be even better?
So you'll be able to, in my opinion, and I think this is also a little bit of just like a difference in philosophies behind it. Once he's distanced himself so much, at that point that you know that he's the man, you build around him. But at this point, you're just trying to get as many talented people as you can on the team. Like, the rebuild was definitely going to be a 2-year project. And you go out and you find another quarterback. Maybe he's just a backup. Maybe he's a starter. I still think you have to bring somebody else in. But you don't have to go up. And at that point, you also only have to bring them in if you like them. Like, if you see somebody out there that's potential, you bring them in. But you don't have to go out there and you don't have to spend a fortune to do so. You don't have to spend a bunch of draft capital to do so.
Yeah, we're going to disagree on this, so we might as well move on. Because I think you're hurting development of a rookie or a second-year guy. But either way, all right, let's get to the news and kind of why everybody's here. So David Culley, it was reported Sunday morning, of course, right before the game, that the Texans are going, or Nick Caserio is going to evaluate David Culley and the entire coaching staff at the end of the season, right? And so yesterday was a Black Monday. You saw all sorts of coaches fired. There is a ton of head coaching vacancies throughout the entire league. And there's a ton of opportunity for other coaches. And while we saw one get fired today, later than when we saw everybody else get fired. And that was Joe Judge and the Giants. Really good thing for the Texans, if you ask me. But David Culley, there's been no announcement yet. The Nick Caserio press conference that was supposed to happen today was canceled and moved back. Good old Aaron Reese got a slap on the hand for tweeting out something that he shouldn't have tweeted out, that the press conference was canceled. Which is hilarious at the end of the day. And we won't know likely until Friday. I'm going to let you go ahead and go first and tell me kind of what you think is going on, because I think it's going to align with what everybody thinks on Twitter. And then I'll take that and go a little bit further onto what I actually think is happening.
So there's a couple of thoughts that I have in my head. First off, this doesn't look good for Culley. I think that Culley was the bridge while they essentially tried to find somebody. This may actually go back to even what you were saying about building around Davis Mills. I think that part of Culley's job was to go out there and find a quarterback, or to be around while they're building the foundation. And Mills may have surprised them a little bit. And Culley also kind of underperformed. And Culley's like in this very weird position as a head coach, because that wasn't his staff. It wasn't his team. This is definitely Caserio's team. And that's really weird for a head coach. He was older towards the end of his career. And if you look at Caserio's game plan, it really does line up as being a 2-year plan. I mean, you got all those vet guys to rebuild the culture, to get some strong veteran leadership into a locker room. And he also pushed cap money till next year, because they're going to have a bunch of rookies, so it didn't really matter. So they're not looking to win next year. It's the year after where they're probably looking to take a jump. I think, honestly, because you have that press conference canceled, the Texans apparently declined coaching the Senior Bowl, because if Culley was keeping his job, they would be the team to get it. And it makes no sense when you need rookies to not want to coach the Senior Bowl. So these two things make it look very, very bad for Culley. And if you're going to start building around a quarterback, you do want to try and get some stability with the coaching. So why would you keep your bridge coach? If you're going to make a coaching change, it actually makes more sense to do it this year if you truly believe Davis Mills is a guy that you can start to build around. If they didn't believe that, I think they actually roll Culley for another year. But I think that they may actually believe that. And so on top of that, I think Caserio has a guy that he wants that probably wasn't interested last year with the whole Deshaun mess, and that looks like it's going to get cleared up. And that's just another factor going in. They want to trade Deshaun. They're going to have all these assets. If everything's getting, if Deshaun's legal mess is getting cleared up, so you're going to have all these draft picks. You have a quarterback. It just doesn't make sense to keep a coach that's a bridge coach when you have all this youth coming in.
Is that it?
That's it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of that as well. I think that there's a lot going on. I think that I think Nick Caserio is very analytical. I think he is very logical. And I think he kind of looks at every scenario. I don't think that in his mind there's one scenario. I think there are multiple scenarios. And I think that right now, everybody's throwing the word evaluation out, which I don't necessarily think it's an evaluation of the season. I think it's an evaluation of the future. And in the sense of, did we get enough out of Culley? And did we see anything like enough good out of Culley to potentially put other pieces, whether it be coaching staff or players, schemes, whatever it may be? Are there other things we can do to best support Culley to get better results? I think that's one conversation he's having. And I think the other conversation is, we expected Culley to be here for 2 years at least, and there was a huge shakeup throughout the NFL. And I don't know if maybe right now is the best time to go get my guy. We might have found a franchise quarterback. We might not have. We at least know that we have a better quarterback situation now than what we did going into the season. And maybe it's just time for us to go in another direction now to be able to bring our guy in and start the actual plan that we've already kind of had in place. So I think there's a lot of conversations that are happening. I don't think it's just a matter of evaluating Culley and whether they think he's the head coach of the future. I think that's too simple for the way that Nick's brain works. And I think that's too easy, because what is there to evaluate? It wouldn't take this long, right? If it's an evaluation and it comes down to wins and losses. But, Nick said early on in the season that it's a process-oriented plan. It's not necessarily about wins and losses this year. Those were his words. So was there enough progress and development seen for them to think there are things they can do to make Culley's job a little bit easier and he can perform better? Or is it the opportunity to potentially go get their guy? I don't believe it's Josh McDaniels, which I know a ton of people believe. But I really don't think it's Josh McDaniels. Maybe it is. And maybe that's why we're not hearing anything, is because they're playing this weekend in the playoffs. And maybe we don't hear anything till early next week, and maybe that's why, is because there's a very thin line right now between the Patriots and the Texans. You have to remember that we poached Jack Easter. First, we tried to poach Nick. Didn't work. Tampering charges. Then we poached Jack. Then we poached Nick. And I don't know if that's something that they want to send a request in for Josh McDaniels at this time during a playoff week, or if they want to wait until they want to tread lightly around that situation. I think there's a ton of different moving parts that go into this. I don't think they expected Brian Flores to be fired. I don't know if they knew for a fact that Vic Fangio would be fine. I think there's a ton of moving pieces. And so I think what he's doing is analyzing kind of every scenario and going to make the best decision in his mind for the Texans' future. That's what I think.
Why don't you think it's McDaniels?
I don't know. I just don't think it's McDaniels. I don't really have like a reason to think that. Like I haven't asked anybody or talked to anybody. I know that's what everybody's saying. And I think that's also probably the main reason why I don't think it's Josh is because
Because it seems too obvious.
because it's such an obvious choice and it's such an obvious thing for him to do that I just can't see him going that way. I do think that like Mayo is a guy. I do think Flo is a guy. And I think it might have been McDaniels, right? Originally. But like that was in that 2-year window and McDaniels' contract is up at the end of next season. I think it kind of worked perfectly at that time. And I think now it's more of an evaluation of, hey, okay, well, Flo's available. I have a relationship with him. I've known him for an extremely long time. I think he's a great head coach. I also just was negotiating trades with him and Chris Greer last year. So the relationship is still intact. But I honestly that's the main reason why I don't know if it was Josh or if I don't know if it's Josh now. I do think it might have been Josh if we waited a year, but I don't think it's Josh this year. So if we keep Culley, then I think there's a good chance that Josh is the head coach next year, just based on contracts. If we don't keep Culley, I don't think it's Josh this year.
If we keep Culley and Tim Kelly, then it's definitely McDaniels.
Yeah, and Pep's out. Like Pep's out, guys. Pep is out. I told John yesterday. Like Pep's out. Pep is checked out. He's checked out. I think he checked out early week 8. He checked out this last week 16. Made him all the press wait like an hour and a half. Like he was very short and ill-tempered towards them. Pep is gone. So the Pep for OC and all that stuff just killed that because it's gone. Yeah, and if you look at his career, like I don't know, it's weird to me. Like the guy jumps a lot. I mean, he's not in one place for very long. And what was his offensive ranking the year he was the OC when he had Andrew Luck? Like I don't think it was like amazing either.
I mean, it was like top 15, so it was better part of the league, but it was never. I think maybe it was 8 one year. I mean, Pep Hamilton with Tim Kelly was kind of my initial impression was they were actually going to try and force Tim Kelly out sooner rather than later because their offenses, the only thing that you would think would be in common is Tim Kelly coming from Bill O'Brien. You'd think they would eventually want to get tight ends involved. But Pep Hamilton, when he was at Stanford and with the Colts, I don't really know what he ran when he was in what was it, the XFL? But he ran a West Coast offense that was very heavy reliant on tight ends. So I assume that was the only thing him and Tim Kelly could possibly agree on, because the biggest difference between what Tim Kelly ran and the West Coast offense is actually verbiage, and West Coast is more of a timing and less of a reactive. So they're not really that compatible. So it's kind of always like an odd mix, in my opinion. But Pep did know quarterbacks. And I mean, Davis Mills, I mean, he definitely progressed quite a bit. So it's just one of those things to me. I'm not really sure what to make of all of that. He was checked out. Like, okay, that makes sense. Him clashing with Tim Kelly, yeah, that makes sense. But Mills did really, really well. And if your quarterback, your rookie quarterback, is doing that well with that additional drama with everything else going on, that actually makes me think even higher of Mills.
Yeah, I mean, I just sorry, I was just talking to somebody. I don't really like I understand it, like, but you have to start to wonder when it comes to Pep, like, is it right place, right time? When you look at like is it maybe that the quarterbacks are just talented? Like there has to be a point where, like, if he does this again next year and he's only there 1 year and a rookie quarterback develops, like, you have to wonder, like, is he
Well, I
responsible
mean,
for Herbert, or did he just happen to be there?
I mean, Bruce Arians is the one that always got the big pat on his back for Andrew Luck taking the big jump. But at the same time, it was Andrew Luck. Like, who's gonna screw up Andrew Luck?
Yeah, you can't.
Well, their offensive line. That's who.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's fair. I mean, Justin Herbert, that one was a little bit more impressive just because coming out of Oregon, no one knew what to think, but it could have just very easily. Oregon didn't play to Herbert's strengths at all. Like, he's a completely different passer in the NFL than he was at Oregon. Completely different. So that may be part of it.
Yeah. And to be honest, like, when it comes, like, Joey's 100% right. Like, Brian Flores isn't much different than Bill O'Brien. I think it's too soon to bring in a coach like Brian Flores. I know that Sarge said that there's interest, or look for there to be interest between them. I think he was more connecting the dots, because I don't know if there's actually, like, I can't see Cal wanting another OB this early on in the process. I think that'd be pretty hard to stomach. I think Bill O'Brien was fine. I think Brian Flores might be better, because he's a little more tempered than Bill is. But in Miami, like, there was just so many things that went wrong. He didn't want Tua. He wanted Deshaun. Like, the report came out today that Stephen Ross wanted to tank last year, or in 2019. Flores didn't want to. I just think that I don't know. I really don't know enough about Flores based on what he's done in Miami, right? If we go off of record only, which is what the data would tell you, and we go off scoring and per quarter, and like if we go off of everything all the data clowns look at, you would have to say that he's average. 24-25 record, right? That's an average coach. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think Flores is coming here, but I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it either. I like OB. I would like Flores. I don't think that the Flores coming here, though, just automatically brings Deshaun Watson back, for everybody that thinks so.
Oh no, do we even want to? I mean,
look, I'll be honest. I can't sit here and say, yeah, I don't want Deshaun back. Like, I won't root for the person. I've been in this situation. Like, I'll root for the player, but I'm not going to root for the person. But I think that ship is 100% sailed. I just can't see.
I mean, it would have been one thing if Deshaun. I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't know. I mean, I would honestly just move on and just be done with all of it. But if Flores came and it was resolved, I guess that's something. It's been such a huge albatross, but at the same time, like, that talent level.
Yeah, I mean,
it's interesting.
But I just can't see it, man. I really can't.
I can't either.
I can't see it. I can't see Janice being okay with this guy being the face of the franchise moving forward. Is really ultimately what it boils down to. I can't see that woman being okay. I can't see Cal's wife being okay. I can't expect the PR department full of women to be okay pushing this young man, advertising, marketing. I don't know. There's a lot that goes into it, and I don't know how you do that. Like, could he apologize in a very empathetic and genuine way that makes it okay? Possibly, right? Maybe. But I think he would have to clear his name. I don't know if a settlement would do it. So yeah, I don't believe that the Watson situation is going to happen. But I'll tell you this: the best storyline to watch out for, if that does happen, is the fact that Jack Easterby is going to repair this dude's reputation and I am here for all of that. I
that would
I
be
think that would be
absolutely something else. That might actually make it worth it.
right, 100%. Like we win,
Yes.
so we get our quarterback back. He repairs his reputation. We win with him, and everybody gets to thank Jack. Like
just for the drama on Twitter, that alone.
oh, it'd be
Oh
the greatest.
man,
The whole Steph Stradley crew would just like their brains would explode.
there's that would be an absolute That I'm here for the meltdown. The app would break. I mean, I don't know. I'm with you. I can't wrap my head around it actually happening. And I don't even know how I would reconcile it, to tell you the truth. Again, great quarterback, phenomenal talent. Like that's part of the reason that I think this has been so painful. It's like we not only went so long without a good quarterback, when we finally got a good quarterback, he was someone that didn't even have a ceiling.
yeah.
Granted, he at the same time, let's also keep in mind how well he did play here. There was still a lot of improvement, but you could just see that he had that capability. So yeah, it'd be tough. I don't know if I could, but I just don't know how I'd handle it.
Yeah, ultimately, I think what ends up happening is either Flores or O'Brien get a head coaching job, and Deshaun ends up with one of those guys. I think is it Denver that requested Flores as well? I don't remember. I think New York did too, right?
I don't know. Honestly, don't know at this point. I think somebody reached out to Benjamin Albright about Bill O'Brien in Denver, and he said absolutely not. Oh, was that you? That's about
Bears. Yeah, Bears have the first interview with him. And that's all I see. I don't know if the Giants do or not. Giants would be freaking dude. You couldn't ask for a better potential trade scenario than the New York Giants. You want this rebuild to be done next year? Get whatever package you can from the New York Giants, because that is going to, dude. If you can get 7 and 9 next year, and then another first in 2023, and maybe a 2 or a couple 2s, dude, plus your first. Oh my God, you're way further along.
And just think about Deshaun. He can go play in the biggest media market in the world.
Yeah, 100%.
There you go. So, yeah, I mean, from our end, that's definitely a win for him. From his end, it should be. Like, I think it's absolutely hilarious that this is the reason why he wanted to go to Miami, and it's all blown up. Like, honestly, why would we? There's no way he could still want to go there. There's no way, right?
So, from what I understand, based on what somebody told me, is that he grew up a Miami Dolphins fan. Dan Marino's his favorite quarterback, and he's always wanted to live on South Beach. That's what I was told. I think add to the fact that I think David represents Brian Flores, right? I'm pretty sure it's Athletes First that is Brian Flores' guy. So I think add that to it, and it's kind of like the perfect mix. So yeah, I don't know, but Deshaun does love New York too.
I mean, as money as he had maybe not anymore because he's lost all of his endorsements. But there was a point where he could very easily live 6 months out of the year on South Beach. Like, he didn't need to play there. So that's just crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. But I remember before the draft, before Zach Wilson was taken, there was a ton of rumors about the Jets interested in Deshaun. So I would assume with them being possibly out on Daniel Jones, there's a chance the Giants. But then Washington also jumped in the mix today too, in Ron Rivera's press conference, where he said that they're going to not leave a stone unturned when it comes to finding their franchise quarterback. So it's an interesting market. The wrench that was thrown into Deshaun's plan of going to Miami looks to have been stalled for, at the moment, at least, with Brian Flores being fired. Chris Greer didn't want to give up, wanted Deshaun, but didn't want to give up what it would take to get Deshaun. So, and then Stephen Ross said it's everything's up to the head coach as far as what happens with what they're going to do at quarterback. So, yeah, I don't know. There should be a bidding war on Deshaun Watson. It should come from plenty of teams. Sleeper is Pittsburgh still to me. It just doesn't meet their. To me, that's not their mantra. They don't do that. They grab their guy, they draft their guy, they develop their guy. But they also just made TJ Watt one of the highest paid defensive players in the league, and they don't usually do that either. So I don't know. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
It's going to be an interesting offseason in general, like no matter what's happening. I do find it weird that we are not coaching the Senior Bowl, and the fact that we turned that down. I don't know if that says what people think it says. I don't know if that means that we're out on Culley or if Nick just trusts his scouting staff, who will be at the Senior Bowl scouting. So just because you're not coaching doesn't mean you won't be there. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be wild. It's going to be a wild one. There's going to be a lot of – you guys are going to see a ton of information, lots of different mixed information coming from different sources. You're definitely going to have a lot of people pretend that they know things when they don't. Yeah, I would just be easy on what you think and read and what you find to be true, and just kind of go from there. To be honest, that's really all I can say. Is I don't know. Honestly, don't know what's happening right now, other than I was told that I was right about on a DM just now that what I said about Nick is 100% right. So yeah, I don't know. He's back. He's back. The bidding war for us.
We appreciate it. We always appreciate anything. Always appreciate it.
We figured out the money thing. We just need to figure out how to get the money thing. But we were able to see what we spent or what we've been given. So appreciate you guys. All right. So I guess let's end it on predictions. Do you think that David Culley is fired and that we get a new head coach this year?
The Senior Bowl, that's the thing that really gets me.
Yeah.
That really gets me. I just can't understand giving up that opportunity in a draft that we're about to have. Even if Deshaun wasn't traded this year, we're going in with more picks than we've had in a long time. And with as few people as we have on the roster, you would think there's no way they could pass up that opportunity, right?
Yeah.
No way. So I've got a feeling that they are moving on from Culley. Like I just can't see it otherwise, unless it's a huge shakeup on the offensive side of the ball, which would also make sense. Firing Tim Kelly, letting Pep walk. That's part of the reason why all those interviews for Pep for OC leaked out, is they want him to leave on relative good terms because they hear everything outside the stadium. Like, they act like they don't, but they do. They're well aware of the narrative. They're well aware of looking like they're dysfunctional. And if they ran Pep Hamilton off after the season that Davis Mills just had, whether or not he's responsible for it or not, it's going to be bad press, and that's the last thing they want more of.
Yeah, I would say, Jay, thank you again. Look at that. God, there's a bidding war. I love when there's a bidding war. It always makes it more interesting.
Dang.
He's back. Oh, Matt hit Jay with the what is it called? The okey doke, where he said
the okey doke.
He said I can't do as much as I normally do, and then Jay said, "Oh, good, I have a chance." And then Matt was like, "Not today, not today." That's funny. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
I think this is Culley's last job, regardless. If he gets let go, he's just done.
So
he may be like a senior advisor, but I don't see him on anybody else's staff.
I'll say this: I think that there are
Joey
getting in the mix. Josh is my guy. He's always been my guy. Jack and Josh went to Bible school together as kids. Let's effing go. You might be right. I just don't think it's this season. Here's when I put this out, and we've already seen Mike Silver tweet it out, and the racist. All right, Jerome, he's back too. Thank you, Jerome. would you take Flores if Culley was fired? I would take Flores if Culley
Yeah.
was fired, and I think John would too.
I would. I mean, I would. Here's the thing about Flores, and even why I've come around on McDaniels. I look at Caserio, and you look at what he's trying to do, and I think it's part of the reason why Patriots, expatriates fell everywhere, is they try and take New England down to wherever they're at. But I think that Caserio really likes to be on the headset. I think he likes to be out there in practice. So he's got to get a coach that's cool with it, because I don't think a lot of coaches would be cool with it. I think that may be part of the reason why Culley got the job, is he was okay with that stuff. But I think that may actually limit the candidates out there. I think that we could potentially end up with somebody that's just kind of like a surprise, because they'll be okay with Caserio doing Caserio things, because that's what he's always done with Belichick.
Yeah. Yeah, I put this out earlier in the week, and I wanted to make sure that I said it here, but like, Mike Silver's definitely been, he's been on Cal's ass, calling him a racist, and all these other things, and likely true. He's a rich white billionaire who grew up around old money. But I'll say this: he isn't racist enough to let that agenda dictate the success of his organization. He had a black head coach, a black defensive coordinator, a black quarterback coach. He had a black franchise quarterback. I mean, I don't really think it's to the level that people think, but that is a conversation that has to be navigated, in the sense of, if they do fire David Culley, even if they bring in another black coach, I don't know if that would be enough to like fix the situation, but that's a situation that they have to be able to navigate, or they just don't give a shit what people think. And I honestly think that Nick doesn't care what the perception is. That's a Bill Belichick thing anyways. Bill doesn't care what anybody thinks about the building or the team or the product or anything. He does not care. He sticks to his process. He doesn't let outside influences come in and dictate what they'll do. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know. I think what happens is they find a position for Culley very similar to what they did with Romeo. A senior consultant to not fire David Culley and be able to bring in their head coach. That's what I think happens.
Yeah, I could see that. Try and give them a little bit of a soft landing.
Yep.
I mean, they have tried to do right by people. And I mean, since Nick Caserio, look at the Mark Ingram trade. That was doing right by Mark Ingram.
Yep.
Look at JJ Watt. They did right by him for whatever you want to do. What?
And right by the team.
Yeah, and right by the team. And look at Rack. They did right by him. They took care of him. They've tried in the past to take care of Andre Johnson. I think that was part of the reason why they put him on the coaching staff when it looked like we had a team that could be competitive, was to try and get him some sort of ring. As a coach, he would get that ring. I do think that they're a little tone deaf sometimes, because they have that, I guess the best way to put it is just that rich white guy, holier than thou attitude, where they think they're doing the right thing all the time and they can't be questioned. They do have a little bit of that attitude, but they do try. Even if it is a little tone deaf, sometimes they do try.
I would agree.
And that tone deafness, I mean, I think that that could definitely play into the moving on from Culley. It's not with the smoke that has kind of surrounded them, the dumb comment that Cal made, to just be piled on the dumb comment that his father had made, when there's only 2 black head coaches currently in the NFL. Like, there's gonna be a little bit, elitist. That was the word I was looking for. There's gonna be a lot of blowback. Hell, I mean, just the thought of it, there was already blowback. Somebody already wrote an article saying that they're racist.
Yeah.
but I don't think that will stop him.
Yeah, I would agree. Jerome says McDaniels made Mac Jones look great with mediocre weapons. He can actually scheme up a run game as well. Not my first choice, but wouldn't be mad. And then Alpha says, can we get Joey to leave Josh alone for a little while? Great stream, fellas. Appreciate you, Alpha. Appreciate you a lot. And appreciate you, Jerome. All right, let's do this. Let's do something a little different. Everybody in the comments, if you put F if you think that Culley is fired, and put H if you think that or I guess stay. I don't know. Put fired or stayed if you think Culley is either fired or stayed. And if you put fired, put who you think the head coach will actually be. So that way next week we can come back and laugh at everybody that was wrong. Okay, everybody put it in. Everybody put hired or fired or stays or hired or fired, and who do you think the head coach is? And then we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know. Josh has kind of got me swayed now to Josh McDaniels with all the talk of Josh McDaniels. I don't know what else to think at this point, but I just don't think.
I've tweeted it before. Like, other than being uncomfortable with the amount of people from the Patriots, like that's really the only reason to be uncomfortable with McDaniels. Like, he is literally done everything that we would want a coach to do. He won't screw up Mills by changing the offense. He actually knows how to scheme a running game. He knows how to take advantage of the personnel that he has. He knows how to navigate Easterby and Caserio. I mean, he would make it his team while working within those politics, because he definitely wasn't afraid to go out and do his own thing. The problem with him was when he went out and did his own thing, that was drafting Tim Tebow and, just Patriots South.
Yeah. I went with Joe Brady because I am not off of the Joe Brady wagon in any form or fashion. I just like what he did too much in LSU from an offensive mindset to think that there's any reason to think that he can't. Well, yes, next year is going to be a potential mess. Not mess. It should be a better season. I do think that he'd be a great guy to have to build around, or to have build around Mills or whoever ends up being the quarterback. So I'm going to go Brady, and also because everybody else chose the obvious ones, and Jared Mayo, Brian Flores, or Josh McDaniels. So I had to go a little different. I saw Dabble in there a couple times. That'd be interesting. Clint Kubiak, I wouldn't be opposed to Clint. I really wouldn't. Do we think that Bill O'Brien is hired by anybody this round?
No.
Not at all. You don't think he's in the NFL at all this year?
I think he'll be with he'll be with Alabama at least one more year.
Mm-hmm. I think he's in. I think he interviewed today with Jacksonville.
He did, and he's going to interview with Carolina, and I think he's going to.
I think he gets
Washington. Is that the other one?
Oh, is there? Oh, really? As the head coach?
Was it? Oh no.
As OC.
As OC.
Woo!
Was it Washington?
I don't know.
Because Washington had a really good offensive coordinator. I can't think of who it was, but I think he interviewed for some. Maybe I've got something confused. I think I've got something confused. Forget that I just said that.
Okay. Yeah, I think he goes to the Panthers. But yeah, Eric Bieniemy, does he get a job this year? If he doesn't get one this year, how many positions there's like what 8, 9 positions available? You got the Raiders, you got the Broncos, you got the Giants, you got the Dolphins, you got the Jags, you got who else? Is that it? 5? Chicago, 6. 8. There's 8 teams. Raiders. Yeah, I don't know. Interesting to say the least. Interesting to say the least. Oh, Vikings. That was it. Vikings is the other one. Vikings is a good job. Vikings is a good job. You got to figure out the quarterback, but Vikings is a good job. All right. Well, anything else, John? Anything else we need to get into that we didn't?
I was just gonna say Rivers McCown actually said that he would rather have Davis Mills than Kurt or than Cousins. So that's, surprisingly positive from Rivers, and I'm just happy that he's had some positive thoughts. As with with most of them, most of that group that's truly negative, like part of it is just the suffering of being a Houston fan. Like I get it. Like the city will absolutely break you. Like I absolutely get it.
If you let
But it is if you let it, especially if you let it. Like I think that's part of the reason why we have the mindset we do. We're gonna find something good to talk about. Like that's what makes it more fun. And just to kind of pile on to what you said earlier, it's easier to be negative because you're usually right. But to get your hopes up and have a little bit of hope, I think it is more fun. Like something to look forward to. I don't want to suffer on Sundays. I mean, it's probably going to happen. Like that's what the odds have always been. But I'd rather have something that I was looking forward to, something to get excited about.
Did oh shit, I forgot what I was going to say. I don't know. Jerome says, how are we feeling about Roy Lopez? Yeah, the man's everywhere. The guy's everywhere. He lives in the backfield, man. He's eating up blocks and great in the run game, providing a little pass rush. Definitely a player. Definitely a player. So yeah. What is this? What is Pat putting there?
Money.
Oh, that's a money sign? I thought that was like a perfect.
Oh, perfect.
I don't know.
Which
I would agree. We're perfect and we're making money, so I guess it's both.
Yeah.
I guess
I'll take either. Money.
Yeah,
definitely take some money.
Yeah. Hey, I'm opening up my detail shop on Saturday, guys. So if you guys want to come, anybody in Houston wants to come out, let me know. Just say Houston, Texans Unfiltered, and I'll hook you guys up with a discount. But I understand it's a far drive, but thought I'd at least plug my business since I am finally opening up my own business. But yeah,
we got the house.
Huh?
We got the house.
Oh, you guys did?
We got the house.
Nice. Well, we'll talk offline about numbers and all that stuff. That's awesome, though. That's super awesome. That's great. All right. That's it.
That's it. Yeah, there's no new Marvel shows right now, so.
Yeah, what is the next one? Does anybody know? Is it Moon Knight?
Is it Moon Knight?
I don't think so. I think it's She-Hulk.
I don't even know. They'll start playing ads for it soon.
Yeah.
I know that the little ad the Disney Plus runs right now that has all the little clips. Like I'm ready for all of them.
Yeah, me too. But I'm ready for Doctor Strange more than anything. All right, cool. Edgar, we did. Where have you been? You waited an hour for us and put it out on a tweet. Where have you been now?
We only talked about the game for like 10 minutes, dude. So it's all good.
Yeah, it was about 15 minutes. Yeah, we kind of went in and went out. Thank you, Chico. Wow, it just broke. Panthers are targeting Clint Kubiak. Oh, as an OC. That makes sense. That makes sense. Hopefully somebody snatches him as a head coach. I think it'd be interesting. All right. With that being said, everybody's saying congrats to John. It's a big thing. It's a huge thing.
Dude, getting a house in Austin.
Yeah. Not an enjoyable time to do it.
Nope.
Especially considering you guys got it for what you got it for. Yeah, those guys aren't very smart. So good for you.
That's somebody that's just like, I want to be done and I don't want to mess with anything. Like,
and I'm just going to leave $100,000 out there. I'm not going to make an extra $100,000. Why do that? Why do that? That's when you know you're really rich. When you're just like,
he must have gotten a really good job. He's moving to Washington. They already have a house up there. He must have gotten a really good job. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
He also got a really nice car too. So.
Oh, really?
He must have. Yeah.
I'm seeing Scream Saturday. It's the wife's favorite movie. Hey, I'm glad you were here. Thanks for coming by, dude.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Draft podcast. Yeah, we'll definitely have a ton of that. We are doing a draft live event nights 1 and 2 at Kobo's in Edo. So that'll be April 28th. I don't know. I'll get
I was actually thinking about it. It's about perfect because it's also our 5th year anniversary. We've been doing this for 5 years because we did it the year that Jack was born. He turns 5, so it's 5 years. Dude. 5 years.
That's wild.
I mean, you're my second longest relationship at this point, next to my wife.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
I know.
I'm not easy to deal with, so I totally appreciate your loyalty. Junior, no, John is not leaving. He's staying in.
No, we live in Austin, dude.
Yeah. Giovanni, miss you too, bro. Miss you too. All right. Well, with that being said, guys, I am signing off for Texans Unfiltered. I'm Young Ari Gold. We will catch you guys next week.
Hey, shoot the name of your detail shop.
Oh yeah, Happy Car. Happy Car. Here, I'll just put it in the comments. Happy Car in Round Rock, Texas, 78665. Hit me up on Twitter. Sweet. All right. Oh, cool. Beast landing. Nice. Thanks, dude. All right. We'll see you guys next week.